Hello, and welcome back to Spittin' Sports with Lamar. I am Casey Lamar, and I'm coming at you from the 256. It is Friday, so you know that means college football picks with David Mize, so let's go ahead and get to those. So we're back with David. It is Friday, so that means college football picks with David once again. Last week you went 5-5, and I went 4-6.
Uh-oh.
You're up to 50 and 32, and I'm 46 and 36 now. So uh, I went the wrong way
Look,
last week by going out on a limb with some of
I
those
got
games, but
you. I got you. I got you.
But we have 13 games this week. A lot of good games supposed to be happening. So we'll just go ahead and start with the first one. Number 19 Syracuse is at Wake Forest at 11 a.m. On the ACC network. Syracuse is minus 6.5. What do you look for there?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's such a snooze fest. It already went to sleep. No, I'll go with Syracuse on this. I think they're playing pretty good. It's another one of those big 11 a.m.
Yeah.
Grudge matches. But yeah, I'll go with Syracuse on this one.
Yeah. I'm going the same way. They've been playing a pretty good football here as of late. Last week beat NC State. Wake Forest has been up and down. So I'll go Syracuse as well to win that football game. The second game here, you got a ranked team on the road, number 20 Texas A&M at Auburn. Another 11 a.m. kickoff, ESPN. Auburn's minus 4.
You know, I I don't know. It is at Auburn, but it's another 11 a.m. game. I kind of like the direction the Aggies are heading, and I didn't expect them to be just world beaters this year, but I do see a lot of improvement from the Aggies. So
Mm.
I'm gonna go with Texas A&M on this.
Yeah, they got beat last week, pretty soundly, specifically in the fourth quarter, 24 or 28-13 against the against Mississippi State. But I'm going Mississippi State. I mean, not Mississippi State. Texas A&M as well. Auburn has been so up and down. A&M's been a little bit of that, but two of their losses are to the top two teams in the nation. So I'm going Texas A&M as well. Third game, you got number 6 Georgia. This one's for all the marbles in the SEC East. You got number 6 Georgia and number 9 Kentucky. 2:30 p.m. On CBS. Georgia is minus 9 on the
You
road.
know, it's funny how a win can actually change someone's thinking. And Kentucky's win against Missouri last week, uh, that just didn't show me. I mean, that was just, the whole pass interference thing. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Kentucky's offense is just not very good. I just don't see them being able to score a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense is decent, but if Georgia gets the lead, which I think they will, I don't think Kentucky has the manpower to come back. So I'm going to go with Georgia on this.
Last week was the first week Kentucky's had a 200-yard passer. It was the first game he's passed for over 200 yards, and he was benched at one point in the game. And they came back and didn't do anything to the last 5.5 minutes of the game against Missouri. But they found a way to win. That's what they've been doing all season, except for the A&M game. They're still undefeated in regulation, but Georgia, they really flexed their muscles last week and showed that they're still in it for the long haul this season anyway to win a national title or to compete for a national title, I should say. I'm going Georgia. There's just too much in the end for Kentucky. It's going to be a crazy environment up there, but I think Georgia fends off an early fight and eventually they put it away in the second half, more than likely third, fourth quarter, late third, early fourth. They kind of get away from them, and Georgia takes the SEC East. The fourth game here, you got number 13 West Virginia. This one's a huge one. Go a long way in the Big 12. You got number 13 West Virginia at number 17 Texas. 2:30 on Fox. Texas is minus 2 at home.
Uh, you know, watching last week's game, Texas versus uh,
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State. Yeah, thank you. All I could see was Gundy and the big fight there at the end. But Texas just, I don't know. I think they're on the down end of this season. So I'm gonna go West Virginia.
Yeah, I think Texas has played really well at home, obviously, um, with both their losses coming on the road. But West Virginia, they were my pick to take the Big 12, and uh, I just see them that they're back in it now with Texas taking that loss. So now you got three teams with one loss in the Big 12. I'm going West Virginia as well here. Texas has been uh, they've had some really high highs. They've had some really some pretty lows. Obviously starting with the loss to Maryland, then last week to Oklahoma State. But I think the Longhorns take another loss on Saturday to the Mountaineers of West Virginia. Game 5 here. You got number 16 Iowa at Purdue, 2:30 on ESPN2. We all know what Purdue did 2 weeks ago at home against Ohio State, but Purdue is -3 at home against number 16 Iowa.
And I'm going to go, as much as I've been a kind of turned into a Boilermaker fan myself, just with all the things going on with that fan that has the terminal cancer. That was some really something great to see. It makes you appreciate college athletics even more. But I'm gonna go with Iowa on this one.
Yeah, Iowa. Of course, they have that the Children's Hospital that they always do their traditional thing with. But
Yeah.
Purdue, yeah, they had the story with the fan who was actually in attendance against against Ohio State for that absolute beatdown that Purdue put on them. But Purdue, after last week, they had the huge win against Ohio State, and then they turned around and got beat on the road at Michigan State. Just when you thought they might have a chance to not only win some games, but they had a chance to try to run up and grab the division. But that's pretty much over now. And I think Iowa, last week they had some offensive struggles after an early start against Penn State. They got off to an early good start, but I think the Hawkeyes will find a way to pull that one out at Purdue. It's a day game, it's not a night game there, so I'll go Iowa against Purdue. Game 6 here, a team that I'm surprised is still ranked, but you got Florida State at number 21. NC State at 2:30 on ABC. NC State is -9 at home against Florida State.
I wouldn't pick Florida State against Verbena High School down in Chilton County. They have just looked awful. So I'm going with NC State.
Yeah, both teams on a.
And no offense to the Verbena people that could be watching.
But yeah, Florida State. They haven't beat anybody. Of course, they're 4-4, but they haven't really beat anybody. NC State, they're on a huge downward spiral right now too, with the absolute beatdown to Clemson against Clemson, and then last week they went to Syracuse, albeit a much improved Syracuse, but they still took a 10-point loss and gave up 51 points to Syracuse. But at home, I'll take NC State. They got to turn around they got to right the ship, and I think the Florida State's a perfect team, perfect chance to do that, especially the way Florida State got beat last week. Game 7 here, big game in the Big Ten here. Number 14 Penn State at number 5 Michigan, 2:45. Never really seen a 2:45 kickoff time on ESPN. Michigan is -10.5 at home.
I would love to pick Penn State, but I don't know. They just haven't been what I thought they were going to be this year. They're not bad. They just haven't been quite what I thought they would be. So I'm going to go with Michigan on this one.
Yeah, I mean, we're just going down the line here with the same teams. We've done this before, but the way Michigan's playing, they're playing the best football they ever have under Harbaugh. They finally got a quarterback that they like, that's got the ability to make plays that they need to win football games. Penn State, they blew the game against Ohio State and then turned around and lost to Michigan State too, both at home. But Michigan in the big house, chance to. They're in the driver's seat now for the Big Ten, specifically on their side. But I'm going Wolverines as well. It's just them playing at home and the way they're playing football. It's hard to go against the Wolverines. Game 8, you got number 22 Boston College at Virginia Tech, 2:45 on the ACC network. Boston College, they're -2 on the road at Virginia Tech.
I am going to go with Virginia Tech on this one just because it's at home. But that's going to be probably a really good game this Saturday.
Yeah, Virginia Tech's sitting at 4-3. They've uh, been a disappointment to say the least for how they started out and where they were looking to go. The way they've been playing the last couple years. But Boston College, they're back in the rankings for the first time in a long time. I think this is the second time they've been ranked this year. A lot of ACC teams got in the rankings on Wednesday. But anyway, I think Boston College finds a way to pull one out on the road, a close one at Virginia Tech, very close. But I'm going to go Boston College to pull out the narrow victory against Virginia Tech at in Blacksburg. Game 9, you've got Missouri, who has every loss they have has come in SEC play this year, at number 11 Florida. 3 o'clock on the SEC network. Florida's -6, only -6 at home against Missouri.
Well, this is going to be another good game that I can agree with that line. I think Missouri's not a bad team. They've just played some really good teams. And I'm not sure that Florida is a really good team yet. So I'm going to go with Florida, though.
Yeah, Florida in the swamp after what happened to them last week. They had their opportunities last week, but the defense held them in it, and then it just fell apart in the second half. But and turnovers really killed them early in that game against Georgia. But Florida checking in at 11 was a surprise for me that they had them that high. But they've got some good wins and don't have any bad losses, with Kentucky being as good as they are, and obviously Georgia's doing what a lot expected. But Florida at home, I think they get back after it and knock off the Missouri Tigers and hand the Missouri their fifth loss in conference play. I think it is. They're 0-4, I believe it is at this point. But I think they lose another conference game tomorrow to Florida. Number 10. This will probably be a good game as well. Game 10. You got number 4 Notre Dame at Northwestern, the division leading Northwestern Wildcats in the Big Ten. At 6:15 on ESPN. Notre Dame is -10.
I went back and forth on this one, but I just think that Notre Dame's in too good of a spot right now to mess up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go with Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame, they're playing really good football right now. They're undefeated. All they have to, they went out. They're going to be in the playoffs this year. Northwestern, a funny thing about them, they're 5-3. I believe it is, and all 5 of their wins are in the conference. They're 5-1 in the conference this year. They lead the East or the West. They lead the West in the Big Ten right now at 5-1 in conference play. I think it'll be close, closer than some people would like, with it being in Northwestern. But Notre Dame, their position is just too good for them to falter, to mess up, I think, and they find a way to win another game on the road, and we could be looking at Notre Dame locking up a spot this year in the playoffs. But Notre Dame, I'll agree with you there, finds a way to win. Game 11, you got number 7 Oklahoma at Texas Tech, 7 o'clock on ABC. Oklahoma is -13.5.
I'm going with Oklahoma all day on this one. I just think that they're a good football team, and I just see them beating Texas Tech.
Yeah, they are a good football team. The loss to Texas doesn't look so bad. Texas Tech, I expect a classic Big 12 shootout. I'm talking probably both teams in the 50s and 40s. But Texas Tech, we've seen Ole Miss gash them up. They've been really up and down. Oklahoma, we know what we're going to get. You're going to get a lot of points, a lot of scoring, a lot of good offense with Kyler Murray. They just know what they're doing. Oklahoma, I think, wins rather easily, probably 2 touchdowns. But I think both teams will be running up the scoreboard, lighting up the scoreboard there Saturday night. But Oklahoma, I'm with you. Game 12, you got California at Washington State. 9:45 at number 8 Washington State. 9:45 kickoff on ESPN. Washington State's -9.5 at home.
Sunday morning paper game, because that's the only way I'm going to know the score. 9:49, 45.
Yeah.
At night. Are you kidding me? Anyway, California hadn't really showed me anything. I like what Washington State has been doing, and I can see the Cougars pulling it out.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's 9.5. I thought that was rather close, but I guess California they beat Washington last week and knocked them completely out of the rankings. But Washington State, they're too good right now. Um, they hold the keys in the Pac-12. Uh, they're the best team in the Pac-12. There's only two ranked teams in the Pac-12. Utah is the other one. And Washington State at home, we saw what they did with game day in town against the Ducks, and I think they repeat and win pretty easily against California. Probably two touchdowns. I'll go 10. I'll go between 10 and 14 points. Probably possibly even more the way they throw the football. It's crazy. But Washington State, I think they keep the train rolling, and they win tomorrow night. Well, Sunday morning, however you want to say it. But I got the last game here. I kind of have a feeling I already know where you're going with this one. But game 13, it is probably the biggest game to this point in the season. You got number 1 Alabama at number 3 LSU, 7 o'clock on CBS. Alabama is minus 14.5, which was the opening line, and it's still the line right now.
This is the aggravation game, I call it, because regardless of how big this game is right now,
mm-hmm.
it will not be that big come Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason being, it will either be, if Alabama wins, it'll be, well, they still haven't played anybody because obviously LSU isn't as good as we thought they were.
Yeah.
And if LSU wins, it'll be, well, we didn't ever think Alabama was as good as everybody thought they were. It will never, so it's never going to live up to its height by Monday morning.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think it will be another situation that Alabama still hasn't played anybody. I think we'll come out. I think we'll put some points on the board against LSU. I know that a lot of Alabama fans aren't going to like me saying this, but them losing White is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to hurt them in the first half. And I think Alabama will exploit that.
Yeah, I think it's another quick start. It's the best defense they've faced so far, but the receivers are crazy. Tua just drops it on a dime. It seems every time almost. I think they'll have a quick start, and it'll be too much for LSU to try to overcome. It'll probably be I don't know how many points I would say. I'd say 14, 17 points or something like that in the first quarter and a half. And I think LSU's offense will be exposed because Mississippi State held them in check, and they just couldn't score themselves. I think Alabama's defense is it's not the greatest he's ever had, but it's not as bad as some people think it is or seem to think it is. They've given up points, but that's when the water boys are in the game. The third and the fourth stringers, the guys that sit the bench, they've been giving up some points. But I don't think Alabama's going to score as many points as they have been scoring in the 50s. I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think they score quick and early and make it too much for LSU to try to overcome in Death Valley. Obviously, it's going to be a crazy scene. We always know what Alabama and LSU bring to the table. It's always a physical game. They always fight tooth and nail the whole game, but I think Alabama's going to come out on top on this game, and like you said, it's not going to mean anything because LSU finally played so and so and they got beat.
Right.
So
well, and I'm going to give you a score, and this is really going to tell you why it's not going to mean anything come Monday.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Alabama wins 42-7.
That's I could see something like that, but that's crazy.
35-42-7, and then of course LSU didn't win nobody.
Yeah, it's hard to say that when they're playing LSU, but the way they've been playing, it's hard not to say that. Right. So we'll find out a lot of things. How good is LSU's really is LSU's defense. The home game factor, a night game in Death Valley will. They hope will play a major factor, which it usually does. But Alabama's played well there. What is it, 5 in a row against LSU now?
Yeah, there was one time it was like us playing Tennessee. We paid property tax down there at Baton Rouge.
Yeah, the road teams have always been the the better teams in this rivalry. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm going the Crimson Tide to beat LSU rather easily. I think the early start will be too much. I'm not saying 42-7, but I do think they win by 2 scores. That they start early and it's just too much for LSU to try to catch up with. But we'll just have to wait and see tomorrow night, 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock Eastern, depending on where you are, on CBS. But that's definitely the game of the weekend. No surprise there. 1 versus 3. Alabama LSU is always the game of the weekend on that weekend. So
Really is.
But that is all the games. We had a few. I guess we only had one where we disagreed this week, so I can only gain 1 spot on you when I win that game. But but anyway, go ahead and let us know what you're looking for down in the comments out of the games this weekend. But that's all. I guess that's all I wanted to say. Go ahead and leave a big thumbs up, like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this and anything else that I put out there. But this has been Spittin' Sports with Lamar. I am Casey Lamar. That's David Mize, and look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Roll Tide, everybody.